Well, good morning, Longhaultanker. Straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and today is Sunday, the 8th of June, 2025 at approximately 12 noon. And got home last night. Oh, I've got about 2 days, just short of 2 days, 40 hours, as you want to call it that. 42 maybe, 44 even. Yeah, let's call it 44 hours worth of whiskers. And it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon 2 days ago when I had my last shave and recorded and posted up and so forth. But what I really want to say right now at this very moment is I'm having one of the finest cups of coffee I've had. My wife bought some new coffee. Let me straighten up this camera a little bit here. All right, there we go. And you know, everybody likes to go out and buy custom coffee and these private, I'd say private, these custom burners of coffee bean. They grind their own. You listen to the radio, you watch your favorite news program. Everybody's a sponsor of custom coffee. And my wife bought not a very big container, maybe a pound, I don't know. Folgers 1850 Black Gold. Oh my goodness, dark roast. In fact, I use the K cup. It's ground coffee, and you pour it, you spoon it over into the little plastic thing, and that goes with a K cup Keurig coffee maker, and make it from fresh ground, or make it from ground coffee from Folgers, and it is absolutely delicious. And when I get done with the shave, this a little bit later here, I'm gonna make me some over in the percolator. It's not we got like a 8-cup, 10-cup percolator, and you can make up any amount you want to. And yeah, I'm going to make some perk coffee out of that stuff, because this is some good coffee. I'm using my Lake Tahoe cup from 3-4 years ago when we went to Lake Tahoe. Couple years ago, maybe. You'll see it. I got a video out there when I'm standing out on the balcony. I've got the camera mount on the glass sliding door, because I didn't have a mirror and I had to shave from the video of the camera, and it was snowing and freezing. The sun was out, beautiful day, but it was freezing temperatures, and it was snowing while I was shaving. Interesting video. Fun video. All right, set my coffee aside here. Let me introduce the equipment for this morning. My razor. Next up in rotation, home rotation, is my Dovo Bismarck. And let me, maybe there's some people out there watching who are thinking about getting into straight razor shaving. This is probably the best, in my opinion, example of an introductory beginning razor for new guys. It's got the thumb notch. It's shoulderless. It's a very simple, basic style. Now it's prettied up with all of the engraving and the gold and so forth. But here's what I wanted to share with you. Interestingly enough, Jared Connerty at the Superior Shave I checked this morning just before I started. $170 for a Bismarck. Griffith Shaving Supply selling these for $169, and they provide good services. And I did a general check on Amazon just to see what the discount world selling these for at $260. And so you're going to save $90, about $90 by going to one of the two guys that are actually in the business. And, anybody that would check would say, why am I going to pay, $260 for what I can pay either Jared or Griffith, 170, 169, 170. And so that don't make sense. But there it is, nonetheless. Had a nice shower and haircut this morning. Glad to be home. That trip, the return trip was fine. The going out was challenging. Had that 8-hour breakdown on Thursday, which I had to hustle. I was afraid I wasn't going to make delivery on Friday, and that would have delayed my doctor's appointment on Monday, tomorrow. But we got it done after some, people got to flex. There was one of the guys over there that just had to flex. And so, but nonetheless, we got it done. They either wanted the product or they didn't want the product. And sometimes you can't be too particular. I was there and ready to go. Anyway, enough about that. That was just, but we got home but because of the way I was handling my hours, because of the breakdown, I did a split sleeper berth Thursday night so that I could use my remaining hours. I drove so far, and I only got 5 hours sleep from midnight to 5 a.m. And all I had to do was a 2-hour sleeper berth to complete a 10-hour break. Anyway, complications of the rules, but nonetheless, got delivered. And as I came out, of course, I started early. I had to be there at 7 for delivery. When I came out, I had about 4 hours left on my drive clock. And so drove to Utah, Alabama, EUTAW, Utah, Alabama. And I got in there about 3 o'clock or so, 3:30, and put myself on sleeper berth and laid over then until the next morning. I got up and going at about 6 o'clock, 6:30. Drove all the way in. I got into the yard at about 4:30, and I got home here at about, by the time I did all my end of trip stuff and checked out and turned in my paperwork, I got home about 7 o'clock. And so that's where I'm at now. I was so tired though, I changed my clothes and fell into bed, turned on the TV, and fell asleep. All right. And I'm still very tired this morning. I've been up since about 10:30. But again, let's carry on using in rotation. Using the Dovo Citrus Lion. They came out with these 2-3 years ago. You had to buy them individually. They didn't buy. There's 3 of them. Citrus Lion, the one I used in the last video, or before that at home, which was deep leather, I believe it's called. Very strong leather scent. And then Berlin Barber is the other one, is the third one. And so we'll be using that probably on Tuesday morning. Let's see. And the brush is Simpson Chubby 3 Super Badger 30 millimeter knot. Very much like the what I call the workhorse that I used in the very last video that I put together from a VP Leon Hardy handle, and then a golden nib 30 millimeter premium silver tip Badger knot, which was the best they had. And I believe the knot was around 70, just the knot now was about $75. So anyway, let's get, and it's just been that one. And so when of course I wanted, people are funny that they think they've got to have, and I'm in that same category, that they've got to have the best brand name available in the marketplace, until they begin to realize that, as others have commented, that the straight razor shaving and wet shaving arena is just not that big. And you're just as apt to get top quality products from a private artisan maker as you are some corporate entity. And I don't know, when I say corporate entity, I don't know what I'm saying as it relates to Simpson or Dovo, or I've seen videos of their setup, their operational setup, and it looks like, a couple of guys in a rented warehouse, some of these small entrepreneurial styled warehouses with their little machines in there. So, they might have some family members working in there, and that's all well, good and fine, but, some guys make all of their own stuff. They got the lathes and some of the machines, whether you're talking about brush making or razor grinding. Got all their own stuff at home, and I'm just blowing wind right now because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I have seen some videos, and you can see them too. Now, the one thing I can always say, two things I can always say about A&E soaps. And the first one, positive, is that the scents are strong and appealing. And the citrus line is a strong scent, and it's appealing. But the second thing I always say about, and usually the first thing I say about A&E soaps, is that they're not a lathering soap. And I don't know, they may be slick, and indeed it is slick, but I don't think they're made for straight razor shaving. I think they're made for other forms of shaving, like double edge maybe, because you just pull the thing down, and what you're looking for in that is just slickness. You're not looking for cushion, because there's no cushion with the A&E soaps that I have. Either the 3 from Dovo, made in cooperation in conjunction with Dovo, or the ones under their own brand name that I have, Kaizen and Asian pear, Asian plum. That just and I've said it before, and I don't mean to be unkind about it, but they're just not straight razor style soap. They're not lathering soaps. They're grease pits. It's kind of like my container that my wife has, that when you fry up the bacon, you pour off the bacon grease, and that's A&E soap, bacon grease. This was honed up, and this is since the beginning. This is one of the very first, if not the very first, modern production new straight razors that I purchased. I'd bought some vintage ones before that, but this was the first one that I decided upon when I was doing my initial research and so forth back in 2015. And on a mycodical A. Yeah, I'll go through mycodicals again at some future date, but this is what they call the Pearl X, or it's acrylic, white acrylic. It's got some swirls in it. It looks pearlish for plastic. I got some nice relaxing music playing in the background. And so I've got my doctor's appointment with my new urologist set up for tomorrow afternoon. That's the intake interview and any preliminary examination, x-rays, CT scans. I hope that he will get that all done tomorrow. We shall see. And then set the appointment at whatever location he does his procedures at, and get that appointment set probably 2 or 3 weeks out into the future. It'll be interesting to see which side he decides to do first, the left or the right. It was the right side that sent me to the emergency room at the end of March up in Oklahoma. But this last urologist group that I went to, they want to do the left side first, which I don't. I didn't even know it was there. Did not even know that it needed to be blasted with the ultrasound. They call that procedure lithotripsy. Lithotripsy. I think that's the correct pronunciation. Oh, that's good coffee. That's a little nick I got on the from the last video. I think when I get done here and I go into the kitchen and make up that pot of coffee, I think I'm also gonna fry me some eggs. Fry me some eggs. I love basted eggs. Not basted, yes, basted. Bacon grease, 5 or 6 eggs, low heat. Use a spoon to drizzle the grease back up on top of the eggs and let them cook over a light film, soft yolk or medium soft yolk. And I just love that style of egg. I want to be able to taste the yolk. I don't mind it running a little bit. I don't want sloppy runny, like, sunny side up eggs can be sloppy runny. That's too much. No, I want the yolk to cook just a little bit. So it's standing up. So it's slightly, not firm, but almost. Okay. So this is going to be video number 405. I can't even believe I'm saying that. 10 years, I don't know how far back. I saved for a while from the beginning forward. And then about 3 years ago, started making videos. And it is early June of 2025, and probably not a bad place here to say a few words about how I got started in straight razor shaving. And it won't surprise you to learn that this is why my straight razor shaving is so inextricably intertwined with my truck driving. I haven't always been a truck driver, and if you've listened to me very long, you know that I've been a pastor, master's degree in theology, and 20 years in pastoral work with churches. That's why I'm driving a truck today. I'm not going to say any more about that. And I arrived at truck driving in 2006. Later in life, I was, how old was I? About 48 years old, something like that, just short of 50 years old. And people who arrive at truck driving later in life are usually people who have usually no other alternative, or that's the least resistant alternative that, all we can do is make the choices that we make when we make them with the opportunities and the choices and options that present themselves at the time we need options. And so it was truck driving. I'm one of those drivers that actually survived the first year, second year, up to 5 years, because there's over 100% turnover in truck driving every year. And so there's that. And so in 2015, I guess I'd been truck driving for about 6 years. And so I spent a lot of that time watching movies and reading books, a lot of history, Texas Rangers, General Custer. I read at least a half a dozen books on the history of that. And having read all those, I forget the name of the river. What's the name of the river? You got Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse. Almost called it out, but it slipped away, just vanished. The river, I've been across that river so many times. You go up there north of Sheridan, Wyoming, get into Montana. Gary Owen, Montana. Little Bighorn, there it is, Little Bighorn River. And interstate, as you go north out of Sheridan, Interstate 25, that goes through Denver and Cheyenne and Casper. When you get up there, the Sheridan 25 terminates and merges and carries on in a northwesterly fashion toward Billings, Montana, under Interstate 90. And when it gets to Billings, Montana, it turns into Interstate 94. So Interstate 90 as it progresses northward, goes through these, and if you if you've acquainted yourself at all with the history or the names, those towns would be very familiar, particularly Gary Owen, because that's the song. There's a song by the name of Gary. It's a Calvary. That's an Irish tune, but the 7th Cavalry, I believe it was, turned it into a marching tune for the regiment. Anyway, you'd recognize that stuff, I'm sure, if you have any acquaintance with the movies. Darren McGavin played in a movie. Errol Flynn played in a movie. That's probably the most popular. They died with their boots on. That's probably the most popular or most well known. I won't necessarily say popular, but probably popular. But you got to like the old movies to even get that far, don't you? And I do. And so I was bored reading the books. I've read so many books, watched so many movies, and so I needed a hobby, something that was easy, and I'm thinking something to do in the truck. And so I went to YouTube and I just typed in hobbies, and up came just a whole bunch of hobbies, but mostly centering around either cooking, gardening, auto repair, carpentry. And so I, just flip through those as quick as you can, because that's not what I wanted. None of that interested me, especially as a truck hobby. And I came across, and then all of a sudden, came across this one guy. Now remember, this is 10 years ago. And that guy was Lynn Abrams. And here he is honing a straight razor on a stone. And that just grabbed me. largely because of my own childhood. My dad had a few honing stones. I broke one as a kid, and he was not happy. My background and history with all my high school friends, like the one in Oregon that I go see frequently, uh, uh, in the Boy Scouts. And so there's that Boy Scout connection, pocket knives and honing, and so there's that connection. And so it grabbed me. When I saw him honing a straight razor on a hone, it grabbed me. And of course that led to the actual shaving. And I'm thinking, hey, I can do this. And it's a lifelong kind of hobby. It is a multifaceted hobby with all of the accessories, the brushes, the soaps, the strops, the razors. And most importantly, this is why I've always said that all of those other things are certainly important, but it's the actual shaving. And the reason I've arrived at that conclusion, because first of all, it's true. The rest of it's just kind of, that's why I've never been real keen on doing honing videos. I want to do some, but just not real keen on it yet. But I gotta shave, just as a part of life, as a part of my work. Some places require me to be clean shaven when I go in. And so, hey, this is something I can do at the truck stops, in the truck, the stropping. I can get prepped. And as I've often said in the past, that was in April or so of 2015. And I spent a good 30, 45, 60 days watching the videos. Lynn Abrams led to Dr. Matt 357, 1911 today, Dr. Matt 1911. Glenn, GS6 gun, led to, well, actually, in order of succession, it was Lynn and then Geo Fatboy. A lot of his videos. And another guy that he's not real active on YouTube anymore. I don't know about other places. I understand he's got a Facebook, but the Italian Stallion guy. And so I watched a lot of his shaving videos, and he had a few honing videos. And so I watched and I consumed all this stuff, everything about the Norton 4.8, everything about cauticles that I could find, everything that I could find on Arkansas stones. And, they're playing, I'm driving my truck. I got those videos playing on. on my iPad off to the side. You know, you're not supposed to do some of that stuff when you're driving a truck. And so, and so that's how I got started. And so that's, like I said, 30, 45, 60 days of watching videos before I ever bought anything. Is this what I want to get into? And I ultimately made the decision, of course, you know, hindsight is history. Yes, it's what I wanted to get into. I, just like every other red-blooded American male, I had guns, like buying guns, I like going shooting guns. And I really liked the upper end, well, mid-range shotguns for skeet shooting. I used to love going, I still do, I just haven't done it in nearly 20 years. But I got 2 shotguns that Ruger, red label and gold label, and I pull them out now and again and oil them up and clean the barrels, and that's that, because truck driving does not afford me to have a life. It's just, there's no such thing as work-life balance in truck driving, and which is one of the things I just despise about truck driving. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be truck drivers, because they will be divorced, they'll be alcoholics, they will have coronary heart disease and become obese. Very few drivers actually take care of themselves. But sometimes you don't have a choice, and it's an awfully easy path to get into. I was going to say career, but I didn't want to give it that glorious of a school teacher. A teacher is a career. A engineer, mechanical, you know, some kind of engineer, that's a career. This is a job. It takes, you know, 45 days in a truck driving school and passing a series of tests at the state DOT to get your CDL license. And it's, other than the financial investment to go to a truck driving school, that's all that's required to get into it. And most are drummed out within the first 6 months to a year. And if you can survive 2 years, there's just too many driving a truck. There's too many moving parts for most people, especially if, well, won't say that out loud. But backing, changing lanes, staying awake, driving in the midnight hours. Running off the road in the middle of the night. You've seen the trucks turned over in the middle of the median. It happens a lot. And you have to ask yourself, how does that happen? Why does that happen? Because truck drivers are not machines. But yet, they want to turn us into machines. And so I got distracted. Do anything, stay in school, get your grades, be anything, a welder, other blue collar, Who was that? What was the name of that guy? Mike Rowe used to promote blue collar jobs, all of which provide a comfortable living. Truck driving doesn't. You are a disposable commodity. And so that's how I got into this, watching the videos, deciding that I needed a hobby, went looking for a hobby, and found this, you can say coincidentally, by, watching, just checking out hobbies on YouTube, and that's what came up, and I've stuck with it ever since. And I've gotten interested in so many different aspects. But I do agree with some of those who say that it's a declining hobby. It's a declining interest. It's a declining avocation, because it's not just shaving. I told a guy at the last delivery about shaving with a straight razor, and he said, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I cut myself all up." He probably would. But I said, well, it takes practice like anything else, and discipline. And that's why I always said that, you've heard people say in the forums and so forth that, it takes 100 shaves to get any good, But I've always said, give it a year, and don't fall back. If you're going to start with the straight razor, stay with the straight razor for the year. Now, I don't care if it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or the whole year. I say a year. Others say 100 shaves. Whatever it is. Don't mix it up with, well, I'm going to go back to the double edge, or I'm going to go back to my cartridge razor. This is so hard. I need to take a break. Don't take a break, because you've got to learn how to use. If you're right-handed, that comes natural. If you're left-handed, that don't come natural, and you've got to adopt it. Now, you can see plenty of shavers, straight razor shavers on the internet that are one-handed shavers only. Okay, fine. They've developed their way of doing it, and that's what's comfortable for them. And so they avoid learning to use the offhand, the left hand or the whatever. But don't. Take it up. It's not natural, but you can do it. I did. It was not natural for me, but I compelled myself, forced myself to learn to use the left hand. as I say, there's so many aspects to all of it. Whether, lathering, stropping, shaving, right hand, left hand, pressure. Hair growth, mapping the beard, everything. But it's all fun too. It's all fun. And then the little shortcuts that you can learn, like mapping the beard. The hair grows, but you don't always shave consistently with the grain, across the grain, against the grain. Down from north to south with the grain. Across the grain could be either from inside to outside or outside to inside or both. And then against the grain from bottom to top, north to south, south to north. Some people use that language. And most people, well, I should say, certainly myself, just hair may not grow exactly the way you're going to shave it. My whiskers tend to grow from the nose and the chin outward, out and down. Now, my with the grain would really kind of be like this, but I don't shave like that. I shave like this with the grain. And then across the grain, I guess this would almost be from the ear to the mouth would be almost against the grain. So, but it's, across the grain and then against the grain from bottom to top. And so you also you end up doing what is comfortable and convenient to the face and the hand, and the movements and the motions. That a person does to get the job done. And usually the simple strokes, as I just outlined, up, down, top to bottom, bottom to top, side to, outside to inside, get the job done. Oh, it feels great. Feels good. Running a little bit long today, and I still got the head shape to go. But I'm not worried. If you're not worried, I'm not worried. Which is to say, I'm certainly not worried. Oh, you know what it's time for? It's time for a sip of coffee. Folgers, what did I say, 1850? Black gold. I never thought a cup of Folgers coffee would taste so good as this. It's a different, it's not just dark roast coffee, it is black gold. Oh, I gotta go make me a pot of perked. And she also bought what looks like a 1.5 pound, 2-pound bag of community dark roast. Now, I've had that before, and it's good stuff to be sure. But I think I found me a new favorite. I've told my wife, I said, go check out some of these private labels coffees. And I'd name off a couple of brands that I'd heard about that. And of course, they make a big deal about, we support your values. And that's good. That's fine. And I would certainly be inclined to, given my own religious and political views, I would be very happy to support your product if it didn't cost 3 times as much as a can of Folgers, as a can of, or 2-pound, 3-pound bag of community. And I certainly may not like some of the values that they support, but sometimes, and I understand that conservative groups have largely been shut out of the marketplace because of their conservative views, and stores like Walmart are not going to put your product on the shelf because of your stated conservative views. And that's regrettable, but I'm not going to pay 3 times what I can get a 5-pound, a 1-pound, 2-pound container bag of Folgers coffee for your, and I can't, just because somebody endorses your product that I really like, doesn't mean that I can afford your product. And so as soon as your product can get into those places where the discount prices are that become competitive with the store, the products that are on the shelf in the store, or dare I say, Amazon, of course, they're the cutthroat competitor, and I get that. But my paycheck only goes so far. And I've got other things that, while I like coffee, I like straight razor shaving and accessories better. I'm going to use the Dovo. It's like the Dovo Bismarck. Are you going to pay $170 or $260? Now, granted, we're talking about the same product, a Dovo Bismarck with white acrylic Pearl X scales. But I dare say that most of us are going to spend 170, 169, 170 versus 260. So same is true with coffee. Yeah, that's pretty close. And I just did a haircut, and it's always harder to see the lines right after I've done a clipper haircut. So I'm going to be home, of course, for the rest of today. Tomorrow, my doctor's appointment with the urologist, the new guy, is late in the afternoon. And my request for days off carries through, I took Monday and Tuesday off from work. And I'll probably get my next assignment Tuesday afternoon for Wednesday morning, which I think is an ass backward way of, because that means I got to go down to the truck Tuesday night and get ready for Tuesday morning, which could be as early as 4 a.m. And we'll see about that. So I should, tomorrow's Monday, and we'll see what happens on Tuesday, but that's probably when I'll do my next shaving videos or have my neck shave anyway, on Tuesday morning. Okay, let's do the back of the neck and we'll be done. Stick my brush in the water so it can start soaking and melt the grease pit out of the brush. I may go back through the video and try and edit out about 10 or 15 minutes of it, if I can. But then again, who cares? You know, fast forward. Well, I forgot to pull out my refinements, which I'll show you here in just a minute that I just pulled them out. But we're going to do the alum block. I'm just doing a little preliminary wipe off cleanup on the razor. But this is, even though it's pretty, it's got the gold all over it. It's relatively inexpensive compared to others that I've got. This is a good entry, and you probably can't do any better, much better. This is a good entry level straight razor. It's certainly not one that I would use to learn to hone on. Make sure you've got your honing skills down to at least a rudimentary, do all the stuff you're supposed to do with the gold dollar and the union razors, spend however much time you need to with those razors and your stones to become competent in honing. Then once you've achieved that level of competency, then you move on to razors like this that are top quality steel, that yes, you're going to pay, as I've said, $170. And so even it took, I'm looking at it and it's not excessive hone wear. The honing guide on the top of the spine is still in very good condition. And so, but you've got to achieve a certain level of beginning competency before you move on from the $12 razors to $170 razors. Listen, it'll break your heart, I know, when you've honed too much, you've taken too much steel off, and you kick yourself. And you spend $170, $200 on a razor. Now you could go get a $35 vintage razor that's maybe in pretty good shape, and that's fine. You can use even those. I've got plenty in my vintage collection that are $35, $50, $60 razors. But still, do you want to take a Wade and Butcher that you spent $40 to $70 on and grind it away, and you kick yourself because you're not going to find another Wade and Butcher that's in moderately good shape for $40 to $70. You're going to be looking at $200. Why? Because it's a Wade and Butcher. Or Frederick Reynolds, or Greaves and Son, and what's that guy over in UK that does such a good job? The something Edge. I can't call his name right now. Does just a very soft-spoken guy. Who does just an excellent job at restoring those vintage razors that are in moderately to good to excellent shape. And but he's also, what he charges for those things are almost like a custom razor after he's done with them, because he can. And so my point is, learn your skills. Learn your skills using, and I've always been a big advocate. If you're just beginning, go get yourself a Norton 4-8K stone and 3 or 4 of the $12, $15 union razors, gold dollar razors, and learn to hone with those things, experimenting with the pressure. You hear all of this talk about don't use too much pressure. Well, just what is too much pressure? And you've got to figure that out for yourself by holding it in your hand, rubbing it on the stone, and use too much pressure. Oh, that was too much pressure. Yeah. Okay, throw that one away, get a new one. I exaggerate, but only a little. because you got to figure out it's all touch and feel and experience. And then you come back with the $170 razor, and you've figured out, and it's good steel, and you get to a point where you can tell by the feel of the razor on the stone as you're honing and gliding and honing and gliding, how much too much pressure is for that razor on that stone. And you don't get that experience except by doing it. And doing it means having tested the limits of how much is too much pressure. And you don't want to do that with a quality razor. You want to do that with a piece of crap like a Union razor or a gold dollar razor. Now I say a piece of crap, okay, fine. They will take an edge, they will hold an edge until they don't. And most of my gold dollars still hold their edges that I put on them years ago. They're all put away. I don't use them. They're retired. I retired them in favor of the 60 plus razors that I have that are either quality, that are vintage razors or new production razors, quality steel. And I'm almost 66 years old. Why am I going to waste even one shave? This is my personal philosophy. Why am I going to waste even one shave using a gold dollar when I've got so many other beautiful vintage and new production razors that I have a limited amount of time left on this earth to enjoy a shave with the best products in the world? And that's kind of where I'm at. I want to use things like the best products in the world. Well, except for this. But I had sitting up here as a standby, just in case my Dovo wasn't up to par, this Fritz Brock tennis razor as a backup standby, vintage, mint condition. This comes out of my mint collection, and I've got 7 razors that I've designated, and I've used them on video before, and I've talked about them before. I've got 7 razors in a leather 7-day roll-up that I have designated my mint collection, and vintage razors that look like they just came off the shelf in the drugstore, Rexall drugstore, in the early 1950s or early 60s maybe. And so you walk into the drugstore, the kids run over to the soda fountain, they want to get a Coke float, root beer float, and Dad is over looking at the shaving gear, and he picks up this Fritz Brock tennis razor that probably cost maybe $5. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, can you imagine going back in time to where they sold to a haberdashery or whatever they called them on Harley Street. That's the medical street, but still, where all those places are in London, and they're 2 pounds, which is the equivalent of about $5. And pick. I'll take this one and this one and this one and this one, and you get back in your time machine and come back to 2025. Ha! Okay, enough of my silliness. Thayer's lavender. Everything I just poured in my hand ran into the water, out of my hand into the water. There we go. And I will remind that the big thing about alum, while a very useful and handy tool, wash it off, wipe it off, because it will stain carbon steel. And that's something you don't want to do. I'm going to use Whiskey Woods. I chose this one. Not only does it smell good, and I like it, but I've got plenty of it in my closet back there. I almost pulled out the Panade Bay Rum, something Spice Island or Island Virgin, whatever they called it. But it's the Bay Rum. But I've only got 2 bottles of it, and I've got like 6 bottles of this Whiskey Woods, and so I've got 4 bottles of Lime Sec. See, and those are excellent aftershaves. They're inexpensive. You can buy a bunch of them, stick them in your closet. All right, my friends, that's it. Thank you for staying with me. Appreciate all my subscribers. I may not be as informative as I once was. It's all about the shave. I let the shave speak for itself, unless I've got something. Today I've been a little chatty, so thank you, and I will see you down the road.